to welcome Bob Chapman. Hi, Bob.
Hi there. Nice to be back again.
Always a pleasure, sir. Plenty to talk about this week. Plenty to talk about. And, of course, the major issue has to be the vote on the debt ceiling and possible cuts taking place in Washington. Really, even as we are talking right now, I believe the Senate is gathering to take a look at one or another version of a plan that has been going back and forth between the House and Senate over the past couple of days, and which only has a couple of more days to go. What can you tell us about the most recent information on the debt ceiling?
Well, it's very disappointing inasmuch the first offering by Republicans was to cut $9 trillion worth of excessive spending over the next 10 years. And now we're talking about $800 billion, which really, to me, is an insult to the American people, because those are not any kind of substantial cuts at all. The Republicans have wanted to keep taxes from being raised, and the Democrats, aversely, they don't want the Republicans to hold forth on that. They would like to see increases in taxes and less cuts as well. And so they're at loggerheads. But I think really way behind the scenes, and I think everybody in Washington is very well aware of this. First of all, this never should have happened. They can stop it in 5 minutes. There's several different ways they can do that. And what this is really all about, at least from my viewpoint, and that was borne out when I heard a couple of the senators, particularly Kay Hutchinson from Texas, allude to this. And it's this. There are people in both parties, and the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission and the Rockefeller Foundation, among many others, who virtually demand that Social Security and Medicare be cut. And that's what's holding this whole thing up. There are enough people in the House and the Senate who won't vote for that, or won't be party to anything that does that, particularly because they're programs which were paid for by people. If the money was stolen, is irrelevant, and has been stolen since June of 1935. There's never been any money in there that goes into the general fund, and they spend it. And then they issue worthless bonds as collateralization for the money that they took. I mean, goodness knows over all those years how much money they've really taken out. And most people I talk to in Washington call it grand theft. Be as it may, this is what they want to do. They want to do it for two reasons. Number one is to reallocate the funds that are coming in that they can cut or hope to cut, and take those funds and use them in behalf of the military-industrial complex for more and better wars, and a number of their pet projects as well. On the flip side of that, if you look at statements, articles, in books pertaining to the issue of Medicare and Social Security, you'll see that there have been a number of people from those organizations who have said we want population cut 60 to 90%. In fact, a week and a half ago, Ted Turner was on CNN, and he said we should have a 90% cut in the number of people on the face of the earth. So what they want to do in this process is cut back on what's available for for the people who are receiving Social Security, and 75% of them have no other income. Inflation's going up. So their buying power is being sapped by inflation, which currently is around 10.6%. And at the same time, government would like to, they can get away with it, cut Social Security payouts. They probably start off by doing what they've already done and not having any increases for the last 2 years. And this month coming up of August, we'll find out if there's going to be any increases. I can promise you there won't be. And so that's a cutback in their buying power already. As far as Medicare is concerned, they want to cut that back. And we get to 2014, they'll have their, quote, death panels. And hypothetically, you take someone who's 76 years old, which I'll be shortly, and let's say that I had a disease or something wrong with me. And if they treated me, I could probably live another 7, 8, say 8 years. But it's going to cost the government $300,000 to keep me alive with drugs and treatment. No, it's $2.4 million. They're not going to do it. Because to them, I'm a useless eater. And so they would tell me to go home and prepare for death. And that's where this thing's going. This is really what this is all about.
What you're describing sounds like a very dangerous game for anyone to engage in. You start putting those kind of alternatives on the line for people, I doubt that they respond in a favorable manner. In fact, they may get ticked off enough to actually get up off the couch and do something, right?
Well, I think you're right, and I don't think any of them realize what's going on behind the scenes. All the politicians know. But 95% of the politicians are all paid off by the same people via campaign contributions and lobbying and so on and so forth. And they're the ones that are being asked, let's put this in this bill to extend the short-term, and it's really a short-term debt limit, $14.3 to $16.7 trillion. As you probably are well aware, the total long-term debt is $105 trillion. And
perhaps so more.
Nobody knows what they're doing. The public I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what they're trying to get away with.
Meanwhile...
And I'm sure that people in both parties, especially from the left and from the right, and especially from the left, because a lot of their constituencies are very heavy in people over 55 years old, 60 years old, who are coming into their payments for Social Security, and Medicare starts at 65.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know what that's like. I've had Medicare for 10 years, 11 years, but I've never used it, so I don't know how to. But that's what it's all about. And there's not one piece of media carrying anything about it. When I saw Kay Hutchinson on television last Friday say, well, yeah, we have to address that. What, killing people? I mean, she's a wealthy woman. I mean, even though she spent most of her life as an alcoholic and a drug user. But still, she's wealthy, and the average person in America is not wealthy. Maybe you get two people living together, 75, they're both alive. They might get $2,200 a month in Social Security. One dies, let's say the husband dies. The wife ends up getting about $1,600. And if they start cutting back on that, which they already have, by not using the COLA formula, COLA, it's used in all the retirement plans.
The cost of living adjustment.
Cost of living allowance. And so that's what's going on. You know, the old people like me, we're going to die. So let's expedite it. Besides, the quicker they die, the quicker they get off the books. And we don't have to pay them for Medicare and Social Security anymore. That's how diabolical this is.
Well, it's really nothing more than a modest proposal, right?
Hardly.
Meanwhile, there has been some money that's gone out over the past few years to various sources. The GAO let us know that the Fed issued over $16 trillion during the 2008 crisis. Didn't all happen in 2008, but beginning in 2008 and into just last year, some $16 trillion. It's an enormous sum. And it went to the banks. And it doesn't appear that even after all that the banks are particularly stable or in good, sound position. It almost seems incredible that that could have happened and that has not become a part of the debate.
Well, it's a very good point. At that time, 3 years ago, we projected $13.8 trillion was being paid out to foreign and American banks and insurance companies and selective transnational conglomerates like General Electric and IBM and Harley-Davidson, if you can believe that, McDonald's. Mm-hmm. And it was a racket, just simply a racket. But I knew the figures were what they were, but everybody laughed at me like they usually do. And now they all come back with their tail between their legs. $16.1 trillion is a lot of money. We don't even know whether any of it got back. I mean, what has gone on under the Fed Reserve is incredible. And I know you're an expert on it, and you can spend a lot of time talking about it. But they're nothing but criminals in $5,000 or $6,000 suits.
So we have trillions of dollars going to the banks, trillions of dollars that they would like to take away from Grandma and Grandpa, and we'll continue this conversation with Bob Chapman right after this.